All right, we got Amber on. You know, I always bring you the best, the best. I try to bring the best influencers I can in the industry from all different companies, all different styles, all different personalities, and all of them have just incredible, phenomenal stories. And Amber is no different. She's a top 5 income earner. So if you're watching this right now, whether you're watching the live or the replay, you can drop the number 5 or you can drop a high 5 in the comments below. But we're going to get into a lot. We're going to get into with some of the things that Amber's gone through in her business because, and I don't want to give everything away, but you're going to want to pay attention. She'll go through where she just went like this, crushed it, plateaued for a while, and then how did she all of a sudden get where within 3 weeks she's recruited over 35 people? She doesn't need to recruit people. She's a top income earner. Why you did that, how you did that, a little bit of your story. So before we do that, I want you to say hello to everybody, and I want you to tell us something maybe people don't know. Now, maybe your close teams know, but what's something fun, funny, unique about you, Amber, that people may not know?
Well, hey guys, I am a homeschooling. Well, I homeschooled my all my kids for a while. I homeschool my oldest now, so I'm a homeschooling mom from Minnesota. I raise chickens. Maybe people don't know that. I'm a country girl at heart. So I that's my dream is just to. Right now I got little kids, so I live in the city, but someday I'm going to retire in the country and just be a country girl. So.
Well, hey, I like that. That is unique. That is different. That is something I didn't know that. Raise chickens, right? You're in Minnesota. And what is the weather like in Minnesota right now?
Oh, right now, crazy. We just got about 10 inches of snow last night. So it's crazy. Tomorrow's supposed to be negative 22.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure school's going to be closed.
So if you're watching right now, drop in the comments what the weather is where you're at. It's really warm in Utah compared to Minnesota. I think it's in the 20s today, which is really warm compared to Minnesota. A lot of you are like going to be bragging. I'm in Florida. I'm in California, right? But hey, we don't want to waste your time. We want to have some fun. You're going to want to comment below. You're going to want to put more below because we're going to send you some of my insights, perspective on this as we get into this topic, the nitty-gritty. So first things first, why don't you share with everyone? Let's just assume nobody knows you. Give the 2-minute, and I know we could spend hours on it, but give just the 2-minute version of your story because you've been through a lot. You've been through a lot of companies, a lot of failures, a lot of tragedies in life. And so because I just want people to know the real version because they see like, oh, Amber, like look at her personality. Of course she can do it, right? And so I like people to hear the behind the scenes story before we get into the timeless techniques and principles to help you out in your business.
Well, first I want to tell everybody on here, I don't care how many times you failed, how many times you started this and quit it and started and quit it. You guys, that was me. I've been doing this now for 15 years. I didn't start having success until about 6.5 years ago. Now, I joined a lot of companies. So I saw a company, I would join it, and I'd say, oh, they're doing really good. And then I wouldn't have the same success. And I never looked inside myself. I always pointed my finger outwards. And I said, it's the comp plan. So I went and joined a different company. Again, I failed. And I'd say, oh, it's the products are way too expensive. So I went and joined a different company, failed. I'd say, oh, it's my upline. She never helps me. She never calls me. So I saw someone else was successful. And this went on for years until I actually, one of my mentors, he said, are you going to be at convention? And I'm like, made an excuse for everything. I always made an excuse. And I'm like, I don't have the money. I was really broke, like super broke, living in a rundown mobile home with mold. And I was really broke. So I'm like, I don't have the money. And he said something that changed my life. He said, well, there's one of two people. First, he said, do you want to be a top income earner? And I said, of course, obviously, that's what yes. And he said, well, all the top income earners are going to be at convention. Why do you think you're going to be able to have what they have if you don't do what they do? That hit me hard. And I said, okay, well, I don't have the money. Making more excuses. And he said, well, there's 2 types of people there. There's one type, they're going to make it happen no matter what. The other type's not. I guess I'm going to find out what type you are at convention. Okay, right there, I knew I had to get there. So I don't recommend doing this. Don't do this and say Amber told me so, but I did what I felt I had to do, and I didn't pay my rent. I went to convention. You guys, 30 days later, I learned about personal development, which was huge. I earned the company paid car 30 days later after that convention. Never had success before. That was my first introduction, that personal development and learning that I can't keep pointing my finger at everybody else and I have to start looking within me. Every skill in network marketing, recruiting, sales, parties, everything's a skill, and skills we can learn. So I hooked myself into all of Eric Worre's trainings. And from there, my business absolutely exploded. 8 months later, I moved into my dream house. I became one of the top income earners in the company. Like, seriously, if this can happen to me, 8th grade dropout, blamed everybody, failed 20, I was in 21 different companies. 21. Oh my God, 21 companies. You just
Wait, hold
where you
on.
are.
You said you were in how many companies?
21.
Well, I mean, that's got to be a record. I mean, how many did Jordan Adler say he was in before he had success? It was maybe 10 plus, and there's other leaders, but 21 different.
Because it was the mindset. I could have been successful in the very first one if I took responsibility for my success instead of looking at the company for it or looking at my upline to give me people. Like, that's just not how it works. If you want it, you got to go out there and make it happen. So personal development was huge for me. I learned that if I want my checks to grow, I have to grow. I wasn't someone wanted to follow as a leader. I had to grow into that person. So that's a little bit of my story. You guys, it worked for me. It can work for anyone. Personal development's huge.
Yeah, I love hearing that. I mean, because so many people, they just hear the after and the highlights and everything, and they just think that it just happened and so got lucky and all these different things. And so it's just important to hear that. And I think it gives us hope. Now, understand this, all of that said, not quitting is good. That's the first level, right? And that's what Amber did. She stuck with the industry. But the second level is it's not just going to happen. You got to make it happen. She had to go to convention. She had to focus. She had to stay disciplined. We're going to talk about in a second. And I want to get into some of her top tips because she is an incredible recruiter. She's incredible online. I mean, she does 99.99, 100% of business online. Yeah. And she understands. Now, of course, the point, whatever, that's convention, different things, but she built it and she went and just wreaked havoc. And she even says to this day, she's like, oh yeah, I got to do this better or that better. Doesn't matter. Every leader can say that same thing. So before we go into some of your top tips for recruiting and how you got out of this plateau and some of the things that you could give for tips of how you've recruited, 35 plus people in 3 weeks, let's do some sort of fun contest. So whoever ends up sharing this, what I'll do is I will send you, let's say, I'll send you a couple of my courses. So at least $300 value of courses. I'll just actually send you options. You can choose which one you want. So you got to share it.
Huge.
You got to comment, share below. And if you comment, share below and share it, and then maybe we'll do something else that's fun later. Maybe Amber's got something fun or something. She does have an incredible book, so she can tell you about that a little bit later. Maybe we'll do something with that if you tag people or something. So Amber, I want you to tell people right now, what was that shift that happened for you this year? And you can transition it from previous and past success, but we want to hear the nitty gritty on what it takes, right? Just drop the secret sauce tips in here for us.
I'll be honest. I was happy with my income. I became a top income earner, and I just am like, okay, I was happy with it. I was so broke living on government assistance before making the money I have. I didn't have that hunger, like that drive that I had in the beginning. So that's so important. Just having that hunger, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. The reason I didn't make it before is because I never reached out to anybody. I saw myself as a 3. I was broke, overweight. I didn't see myself as anything special. And I seen other people, those 10s we want on our team. I was too scared to approach them because I was only a 3. Why would a 3 want to sign up with a 10? We got to get out of our own head. Okay. Got to get out of our own head. And I was hungry. I needed this. So I got comfortable with getting uncomfortable. I started approaching these people who I thought as a 10. And that's how I built my business. Then I got comfortable and I stopped looking for those 10s. I stopped being hungry. It was actually Eric Worre on January 6th, I think. We were at a training. We were at a top income retreat. And he said, you need to do it because you need to be an example for the team. And I said, that blew my mind. I'm like, you're right. And there's other women out there who are in the same position that I was. It's how unfair of me is not to tell them about this opportunity that changed my life. And I wanted to, be in a I wanted to help my team. I wanted to see them. I wanted them to see me do it, so they know, okay, I can do it too, right? So the discipline, that was huge. I
So
got
real
sometimes
quick,
I
I
was
want to
sleeping
point
till like
this
10.
out. That's huge what you just said there. Is a lot of times what we're doing is we're looking for tens rather than focusing on becoming tens. A
Yes.
lot of times what we're doing is we keep trying to manage rather than lead other people. And the problem is I always say this, whatever we do well duplicates sometimes, whatever we do poorly almost always duplicates. And if you have kids, you know exactly, what I'm talking about. So you're out there trying to tell them like, hey, let's recruit, what have you done today? And they're looking at like, you keep telling me we're in momentum into recruit, but whether they say it out loud, whether it's conscious or subconscious, they're like, you're not doing crap. You haven't done anything.
Yeah,
So
pretty
why are
much.
you telling me what to do? I didn't sign up for a boss, right? In network marketing, last thing they wanted is a boss. So I just think that's really key and critical because the number one most important skill by far is recruiting. Because without recruiting, there is no duplication. There is no personal development. There's nobody in your business. So you want to get better at duplicating, show the example. Make sure you're recruiting and you're leading by that example. So I love that. It's such a huge, huge principle.
And the discipline, that's going to be a big thing too. Like I said, I got comfortable. I'm making good money already. Sleeping till 9, 10 a.m. It's easy to do, right? Staying up late. You don't really need to wake up. I was disciplined. I'm like, okay, you know what? I want to help as many people as I can. I have to show my team that you have to go out there. You have to make sacrifice. And I'm going to sacrifice my sleep. I ain't going to sleep till 9, 10 a.m. I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. every day. I'm going to do my meditation. I'm going to work out. And then I'm going to start working. So I did that. And it happened so fast. I just saw the results of the discipline and the hunger and actually going out there and driving for it. It just happened. It happened pretty quick. But I have to tell you guys, I was not waiting for people to come to me. I was approaching people, and now I don't copy paste. I don't spam people. I don't, hey girl, I use their name. So what I was doing is I was reaching out to people who I really thought would do good at this. And I told them exactly why I wanted them to join with me. And I told them exactly why I think they would be great at it. And I invited them to take a look at the business. Now, if they wanted to do it, I didn't care. My only job was to offer it because I saw something in them and tell them why I think they'd be great. If they want to do it, great. If not, that's fine. I'll follow up with them later. But that's really what I was doing is I was contacting as many people as I could, not with a spammy, copy paste, genuine. I was being genuine connections, and people seeing that, they're like, "Wow." I'd be like, "Hey, I really loved the pictures you posted of your kids at the park the other day. Those were great family pictures." They're like, "Wow, you took the time to go look. You guys, it only took a second to go through their profile. Only took a second to go find something I could compliment them on, something real and genuine." So I don't like the copy paste. I've had a friend once, and she messaged me. She's like, one of your team members messaged me, and she's like, "Hey girl, you take great selfies. You should join my team." She's like, "I don't have any selfies on my profile." And I'm like, "Yeah, sorry."
Yeah, that's the principle. I mean, people, it's understandable when you start out, you're scared and you see scripts, but what we need to teach more is the principle rather than the technique. And they can extract the principle of these are things and ideas of you can look for, but it's got to be real. And that's the thing. You can't take out the human element. You can make things as duplicatable as possible. You can create the best systems you possibly want, but still, you've got your uniqueness, right? That personality, that creativity, and people like you for you. So stop trying to be a different person. I know I was when I first started network marketing. I was trying to be too much like my mentor, and people are like, "What? Who is this guy? You don't talk like that." And I thought, I don't. It didn't feel right. So then I had to start just thinking, okay, what did he say? How did he say it? What's the principle I can extract? Because my mentor, I mean, he was the strongest type A personality you can imagine. And like he'd bully people, great guy, but it was just boom, like, hey, you're signing up, you're doing this. So I just took the principle and say, the world loves boldness. It makes people curious. It's contagious. And I extracted that and applied it with my personality.
That's what I was going to say too. I know a lot of great leaders that have some really awesome example scripts for their team. You guys, it's okay to use something like that, but make it your own too. Like use your own verbiage in there. Replace "hey girl" with the person's name, but you can use scripts. Just make it yourself. Make it you.
Yeah, I love that. And then Alexa says, what activity do you do daily that propels your business forward. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. We're just, we got like a basic agenda, but we want to make sure it's about you. And then again, if you end up sharing this, we're doing a contest. I haven't stopped it yet, whether you're doing the live or the replay, but for the live, we're going to do one first. We'll pick a number here in a second. You got to comment, share below, and we'll make sure that we get you in there. I'm going to give away some courses and stuff. So what are the daily activities that you do? And maybe speak on that. That goes along with some discipline. Give some more on what are those disciplines? What are those daily disciplines?
100% personal development every day. Every day. I don't care how big of a team I grow. I have 300,000 people on my team now. I will always work with personal development. Always, always, always. And then getting into groups. This is how I find new people. Now, I don't go into groups and I don't post about my business. I find things that I actually like gardening, raising chickens. I'm in a whole bunch of chicken groups. I'm in a whole bunch of homeschooling groups. I'm in keto groups. I'm in workout groups, like things that actually pertain to me. And then I am like the number one commenter. I don't go in there post about my business, but I'm answering everyone's questions. In a keto group, somebody says, hey, what's the best zucchini spaghetti recipe? I'm just going to go to Google and I'm going to Google zucchini spaghetti recipe and I'm going to get that recipe and I'm going to share it with her because my name's getting popped up. I'm building relationships. I'm making friends. So I'm always in groups of things that I have interest. Now I want you to be careful though. I don't want you to get sucked into scrolling and, non-income producing activities. Make sure you're doing it with purpose. And then lives, with my type of business, I got to show them the product. So doing lives every single day, even though they're scary, I know they're scary, but the more you do them, the easier they get. I remember when I first started, lives weren't a thing, but I had to do videos. It would take me the whole weekend to do a 5-minute video. I made my kids leave. Everyone in the house had to leave. Nobody could hear me do it. You guys, now I just whip out my phone and I'll do a live anytime. So it gets easier.
Oh, trust me, I know how that was. It was like hard enough to do videos. And then they said it's live. I'm like, wait, I can't read it. It was almost the best thing that could happen. So I stopped wasting time. But I was like, oh my goodness. And I look back at those lives now, and even a couple of years ago, it's so painful to watch, but it's so good to see it. But I'm like, it didn't matter that I'd made a ton of money. No one wanted to watch them. I don't blame them. They were awful, but I kept seeing them, right? As you go. So, I think that's key. And I love it as far as daily disciplines because it was Brian Tracy. One of the guys he looked up to was Kopemeyer, who had written 4 books on the success principles. It was like he did 1,000 success principles. He spent 50 years studying the principles for success. And he went up to Kopemeyer and he said this. He said, tell me one, like the most important principle. What is it of all your success principles? And he looked at him without even thinking about it. He's like, discipline. He says, because without discipline, you're not going to do the other 999 success principles. So I love when you said you wanted to talk about discipline because I didn't remember that story. And I started doing research on my notes that I took. And I did a training on that 5 years ago. And that's why you always take notes. And I found that story because I heard Brian Tracy say that live. And so all the other ones are good. But if you don't have discipline, then it doesn't matter. And so for me, I haven't missed one day of personal development in 10 years. Now, I'll admit it. Some days it's like the worst day ever. And I only do a minute of personal development. So I'm not some superhero, but I'm not going to miss, right? My goal is to do an hour while I'm working out at the gym. So I maximize time, but everybody's a little bit different how they want to do it. So we had a couple other questions. I think April's question is she said, oh, I got to scroll back. She said, how do you get over the why would they join me mentality? Because remember, you were a 3, you thought, at least in your mind, and you're thinking, well, why me? So how do you, you kind of answered that, but let's be specific. How do you get over the why me? And then the second question, and I'd love for you to get both sides of this, is Corinne says, do you talk about your products or business on your personal Facebook? And I love that because it's controversial and you can go either way.
I'm going to start with that one. I do and I don't. I do it in a more not so in your face way. Like when I'm doing my lives, people know what I'm selling. So I'll be like, hey, show them. I'll be using it, but I'm not like, hey, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me. I'm just using it. I'm talking to the girls on my live and they're seeing that. It's kind of planting those seeds. So I'm not like super in your face. sometimes I will, like if we're having a sale and I don't put my website, I always say, hey, contact me. But sometimes I do, but not all the time. Most of it is attraction marketing and it's mostly, me, but I'll always have something like, let's say I have a lipstick behind me or something, but I'm not in your face talking about it, spam, a robot, unique robot over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I don't do that. So
value is the main principle, regardless if you talk about them or not. The main principle is I've seen both strategies work. I've seen people where they never talk about it and they're like, I don't want anybody to Google or research it, and I want them to come directly to me, and they're just talking about the idea of it, value. And I've seen other people like, I don't really care. I'm going to provide enough value that Google or not, they're going to trust me. So I don't, and that's what I say, I don't care either way. The main principle is what Amber just said is value, 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 value. So that's the key, and you can figure out what your strategy is, but do 80% of your business or 80% of your posts non-business related. People want to connect with you as a human being. I understand influencers, they're so big now, people come to expect it and they respect it. But especially when you're building that audience, they want to know who you are. They want to know, is this someone I like, somebody that I would trust, right? And so you're building that, in different ways. And then the second question, as far as, how do you get over that when you feel like, why would they want to join me? What would you say?
I think personal development is going to be big on there. Personal development for me was so big. I'm seeing myself as a different person, like it's in our head, and you got to kind of realize what you're thinking about yourself in your head. Because why not you? If I could do it, an 8th grade dropout living in a moldy mobile home, why not you? What's the difference? I'm not better than you. I'm not a better prospector. I just did it. So I don't know. Is that a bad answer? Just do it. Do it scared. You're scared to talk to that 10. Do it anyway. Do it scared. That's what I did. And then the more you do it, the better you feel about yourself.
Don't you think there's a psychology to when you approach those people, whether they say yes or no, it's almost like you're telling the world that you're willing to do whatever it takes. And so I think there's a psychology to it of just, you know what, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Number one. Number two, that's how you get better, like you just said.
Yeah.
And so it's the whole, make sure that you're studying, you're doing your personal development. Personal development means nothing if we don't take action. I read 100 books my first 18 months in network marketing, but that would have meant nothing, right? Unless I was taking massive action. So take massive action. Just do it, right?
Just do it. Use your tools too. Use your upline. Use the tools that you have. Do 3-way calls. Like if you feel like you aren't going to say the right things, which trust me, especially if you're new, I've messed up a lot of conversations. Okay. It's okay to mess up. You just got to keep going. It's just practice. But get your upline, get your top leader within your team on a call for a 3-way call. Use them, utilize them. That's what I did. I had my mentor on like 4 or 5 calls a day because I knew he had the success. People are going to look at him as the expert until I'm there. So I utilized that like crazy.
I love that. If you've shared this already, drop a share below. We're going to go through in a second and announce who that person is. Another question would be, as far as personal development, when we talk about that, some people get confused. What specifically, like if you're prescribing personal development, are they Facebook Lives? Are they specific trainings?
It doesn't matter. It can be your group that you have, your trainings, your book. All of that is personal development. It doesn't matter where you're getting it from, as long as it's helping you grow and get better. That's what it is. So your book, that's probably where you should start. I love your book. I was so thankful when you gave it to me a few years ago, but it's amazing. So you guys start there. You already watch him. Grab his book. Start there. Start watching your lives. Like all of that. Every time they watch you, that's personal development. They're learning, they're growing.
And then you just got to make sure that you're applying it as you're going.
Because you can listen to it all day long. I always say this, I love The Secret, the movie The Secret, but the one thing it's missing is action. I can't sit on my couch and think about checks all day and have them come. I can think about them and I can go do the action to go get them to come, but you got to take that action. It's so important.
Yeah, no, that's good. So talk to me a little bit about, we were talking off and we weren't sure if we would say it or not. So let's have a little bit of fun. I don't care who's tuning in. And there's a lot of influencers that have already commented. Influencers are great. They're not going to get offended. They do whatever they want. But just tell us a little bit on that mind shift you had as far as you were plateaued a little bit and then you went into recruit mode. What was the difference? What changed? Why did it change? And I want all of you to apply. I don't really care if her numbers are way higher, of how many she recruited, how much money she was making from outside businesses. The principle is still exactly the same. And I think this is important for all of you to hear and understand. And then I'll give my take on it right after.
I was scared at first because I did a lot of influencer stuff. Like you see on my sunglasses, that was all, they all sent those all to me. Hair products, everything. Companies were sending me stuff, and I was have a code, and if I send the code out, I get a commission. I was making pretty good money. But Eric Worre, we did a top income earner retreat, and he said, I want you to focus. 2019, get rid of all the distractions. I don't care how much money you're making with it. Just see what happens for 1 year. Focus on your business, 100% on your business, and see what happens. Within a week, I even own a clothing line, and I'm like, okay, I'm not talking about that no more. We aren't going to do anything with that no more. And I gave that up even because I knew I'm going to do what he says. He knows what he's talking about. I'm going to be coachable. I'm not going to argue with him and say, well, maybe I can get followers from it. Maybe I can I'm just going to be coachable and open-minded and do exactly what he says. So within a week, I saw huge, it was amazing. People were coming to me like, I see how focused you are. They seen my focus. It wasn't that I was promoting other brands. It was that I wasn't completely focused on my network marketing business. People started seeing that I was doing just my network marketing business and talking about just my network marketing business. And they seen that, and it drew them to me. They're like, I see, you running. I see how excited you are. I see your focus. I wasn't put in a whole bunch of different areas, talking about a whole bunch of different things. I was focused, and it helped me extremely in my business.
It probably unlocks that creative brain as well, because now everything you think of is focused, right? I think that key word is focused. And I remember it was a question that was asked to Warren Buffett and Bill Gates separately on what were one of their top tips for having success. And they said, focus. And, Warren Buffett said, one of his top tips for having success is he says no to almost everything. And he said, that's one of the hardest things to do because we get ADHD, right? ADHD stands for a dude has dreams or a dudette has dreams. And it's like, whoa, entrepreneurial ADHD. I got this, wait, this new system, this and this and this. And it's the same thing for a lot of you that are even brand new. Well, let's try this. Well, I just saw this leader tell me to do it this. Hey, look, even if that means unsubscribe to me, I'm just telling you, find a main couple leaders, maybe 2 or 3 max, and follow them, because there may be a lot of different ways to climb the mountain of success. But I can tell you, trying to climb it 10 different ways and go up this way, and then the other leader says no this way, so you climb back down, and then the other leader says this. And you get in that, that syndrome where the grass is greener and it just becomes too hard. So I love how you said that as far as it's just focus. So for all of you, you got to get that. You got to get that focus. And that's what Amber has right now, is she has that massive focus. So I'll do one last question before I do that. Do you have a favorite number?
22.
Okay. So whoever is number 22, and you can look, you message me, I'll look after as well. So we'll say share. Whoever commented, number 22 person to share, I will make sure I'll give you a choice on courses to send you. So whoever 22 was. I didn't know what her favorite number was.
You did not.
We just asked. So do you have any other tips or insights, even if they're quick ones, on things that you do for maybe the invite or follow-up or anything to do with recruiting? As that's one of the hardest things that people struggle with.
I'm going to leave you guys on the law of averages, because that is what changed my business back when I was in that mobile home. How I got out of it was the law of averages, and that what took me from a 3 to a 10 was the law of average. So if you guys heard Jim Rohn talk about it, everybody you talk to, write them down on a piece of paper. Now, I write little notes by their name. Let's say Anne is a homeschooling teacher and she works part.
Oh, we lost her. Hopefully she comes back on. She was just getting into the good stuff. So I'll make sure that we're going to keep going and talking for just a minute or so. So she was saying the law of averages. She was writing down exactly who and what. And I'll tell you, for me, the law of averages, what changed it for me is I remember Jim Rohn giving an analogy on the law of averages, and he was just talking about, certain percent are only ready, and so certain people come in, and it's like, they're going to come in and they're going to say no, and some are going to say yes, and you figure out maybe it's 1 out of 10 you close, and you say, okay, I need to have 4 people that join my business every single month to reach this rank. And if that's the case, you need 4 people to join your business every single month. Then what you're going to do is say, okay, well, that means I need to contact 40. And all you do is figure out exactly what those numbers are, And then you work backwards. Now, of course, there's going to be some months that are good, some months that are bad. You're going to have some months as you go, right, as you're going back and forth. But I think it's key and critical for you to figure out what your law of averages are, because too many times what we do in network marketing is we just think, you know what? Oh, well, I talked to a couple of people. You got to know, what are your numbers? How many new contacts have you made? How many third-party validations have you made? If I contact you right now and I were personally coaching you and working with you, I would want to know exactly this week, how many third-party validations have you made? Or how many new contacts have you made? Or how many, whatever the numbers that your upline or your team is tracking. I want to know specifics, because too many times the big thing I'm on right now is we don't focus on the income producing activities. And what we do is we say, oh yeah, I worked really hard this week, Rob. And you got 12 things to do on your to-do list, and you do 11 of the 12, but the number one most important thing to do is contact new people, and you don't contact new people. So you got to make sure that you're reaching out to new people. And then from there, you can realize, okay, what are my law of averages? What are the amount of people that are actually saying yes to me? And then from there, you say, okay, well, how many new signups do I need to have to reach this rank, to reach this title? And now you can work it like a true business. Because if you're a 3 or a 4 or 5 or a 6, and you're just hoping somehow, some way that you're going to find 8s and 9s and 10s that are going to do the work, you're in trouble. Your business isn't going to take off. You got to become the person that you would want to recruit. If you do that, that'll make a huge difference. And I just want to, let's give a big, huge thanks for Amber. She dropped off. I don't know. She just left us in suspense. Wi-Fi, Be Live, we love you. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, that means we're just going to have a part 2 another time. So thank you so much, Amber, for being on. Thanks all of you for tuning in. And we will do another one soon.